Huh?
It's got a green check mark.
It does.
It does appear we are live on Rumble. 4 viewers. Oh,
well, I've been over here the whole time. It hasn't popped up on Rumble yet.
Hold on, give it a second. There could be up to like a 5-minute fucking delay, depending on.
My gosh.
Yeah. Because see, StreamYard acts as its own RTMP server that is sending.
We are live.
We are live, motherfucker. Woo. Sorry. Refresh.
We are live. Go live.
Okay, so the only way we're going to be able to do it is basically
all right, Yorkie, you can go back over there. We are live. You should be able to find us.
Yes.
The card is locked and Rumble
we are live.
It does, but if you go to Rumble and just type in F your feelings, it'll take you right to it. We are live right now. So, anyway.
If my universe is racist bit doesn't make it into a fucking video, I'm going to be pissed.
No, do it right now. Let's roll.
I've done lost it now.
Roll with it.
I'm filing a complaint with Space Force.
Space Force? That's racist.
That's racist! If you pause it, you cannot go to live. It has like a 30, about a 10-second delay. So anyway, what are we doing here, girls?
You said a 10-second delay? That's how you catch people from saying, fuck my sister.
Hey, what do you have the upload quality set to?
We don't set that. I think StreamYard does. Yeah, we don't have any control over that.
Oh, you're not. Oh, that's right. You're not streaming on YouTube. Okay, never mind.
No, we don't want to get our YouTube account deleted
Right.
immediately.
So, the reason why I'm saying is because, like, the quality of video for your destination starts getting into upload bandwidth, and I wonder if your guest bandwidth, upload bandwidth doesn't match. If it could
you did a good job there, Miss Warhorse. You were the first comment on our live stream.
Well, I'm fucking talking about represent.
Represent. That's my girl, Daddy's little girl.
now he's back in the fold. He's on his way back with the milk. Candace, don't let him lie to you. He wrote you out of the will fucking 5 minutes ago.
It was all his fault.
Because StreamYard is not connected to the account you're streaming to, StreamYard is just sending the stream. Oh, so we'll never get Rumble's comments. Hey, Serenity, second. Gotta support my dad and husband. But so since we've got the banner rolling at the bottom, according to Seth from Warhorse Ordnance, the universe is racist.
The universe is racist.
Can we try and explain that again?
So, according to a study, let me get it pulled back up. All right, according to a study by astronomers in 2002, they found that the light coming from galaxies averaged into a beige color that is very similar to white. So it's not an American problem, it's a universe problem.
That's racist.
There's nothing we can do about it.
Which, by the way, is called Cosmic Latte.
Yeah, Cosmic Latte.
That just happened.
Okay. Oh, they even give you a hex code to figure out what this color is. Okay, let me look at this hex code here.
That sounds like one of those seasonal drinks at Starbucks.
Yep.
Cosmic Latte.
I'll have a venti Cosmic Latte, please, with extra wheatgrass.
So, how about we? No, maybe not. Ah, fuck it. How about we talk about? I was gonna say
You're
the
like,
government.
I don't know if we should do
like,
this or not.
I was like, I did.
Fuck
I was
that.
like, fuck.
Fuck the ATF.
I'm thinking about somebody that I like and I don't want to screw them.
Mom?
Oh, Mike is just my screen name. My real name is Robert. Robert Paulson.
What's the first rule?
Listen, we're streaming. You don't talk about it.
Candace put FTATF in the comments over here.
100%. Represent that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Miss Warhorse.
You've taught her very well. Yeah, we don't use government names here. What's wrong with you? Jesus.
I do.
That's your own problem.
My government name's not Mike.
I just almost spit water all over my fucking laptop.
This is Jorge, the Volkswagen mechanic.
You're pointing
Jorge.
away from him.
I'm pointing away?
Yeah, your camera's reversed.
Now I can't be wrong.
Are you sure you weren't a lieutenant?
Look, land nav was not that fucking hard, okay? 14 hours just turned into 26 fairly quickly.
It is hard
Listen.
if people call you sir.
I still think that the video that's on YouTube of the officer getting pissed off during land nav, and he's fucking screaming at his guys to stop getting pizza delivered. The fucking pizza delivery guy could find him, but the lieutenant couldn't.
That's got Lance Corporal Underground written all over it.
It's only funny because it's true.
Yep.
So for those of you that are viewing that haven't met us, we are veterans, and we don't fucking care.
Hey, Seth, you want to talk about Ruby Ridge and why it was a failure?
Ooh. Ooh. I don't know if I got enough phone battery for that one.
I mean, hey, fuck it, man. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, no.
Go ahead.
Ruby Ridge was an absolute fucking disaster and spun into motion one of the absolute worst standing government organizations on the fucking planet.
Care to explain?
In a nutshell.
No, we don't want the nutshell. We want the whole thing,
Expand.
everybody. Come on, help us out here.
All right. So with Ruby Ridge, the term entrapment took a whole new fucking leg of its own, and tried to hem a dude up. Essentially, I'll tell you what. Let's do this. Because I know how these fucking things work. Let's go ahead. Let's get dates. Let's get names. Yada 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 yada.
Do you like the purple headphones, by the way?
Ruby Ridge was the site of a siege of a cabin occupied by the Weaver family in Boundary County, Idaho. In August 1992, on August 21st, deputies of the United States Marshal Service came to arrest Randy Weaver under a bench warrant after his failure to appear on federal firearms charges. Let's hold on right there, because the actual information, the truthful information, was he was not served any kind of papers to show up for court. He had not received anything whatsoever. So they said that he had a failure to appear to a court that he did not know he had to be at. So there's your first falsification. But that kicked into motion a surveillance operation where the dog alerted to two positions, or two officers that were positioned on an adjacent hill across from Weaver's property. At that point in time, the dog alerted to them. They were staking out, trying to figure out the comings and goings, and trying to gather as much intel as they possibly could. The family dog alerted to them, which Weaver's son, I believe his eldest son, was with the dog, just walking around the property. And as soon as the dog alerted to him, they proceed to open fire. They take out the dog. They take out his son.
Yeah, if I remember the story right, the dog actually alerted and started barking at him and gave up their position.
Yep. And they made the judgment call to immediately engage, which is absolute assery.
Well, considering they were trespassing.
Yes, absolutely.
They were
just like with
agents.
any other property owner. You would have, if you had two random dudes sitting in the wood line with weapons, you assume they're up to no good, and you have the right to defend yourself, especially if they have not identified themselves. So there was an exchange of fire. Dog was dead. Son's dead. That obviously alerted the rest of the family, and the rest is pretty much exactly how you think it would go. It was a back and forth of multiple agencies showing up. I believe his wife was shot and killed inside the house while they were trying to take a shot in the doorway at Randy, who was holding their youngest child in her arms. So completely removed her face. And it ended up stalemating, and he was acquitted after everything was said and done. An exhaustive amount of resources and federal money, taxpayer money, to essentially murder this man's family over the alleged original case was he cut 2 extra inches off of a shotgun for a buddy who just so happened to be an undercover. Thus, you have the ATF was labeled as the government hitman of the assery that is the U.S. government. They can make up rules as they fucking go, and essentially do whatever the fuck they want.
Do you remember how long Ruby Ridge, the whole thing transpired?
That I'm not sure of. Let's see if I can.
I just brought it up. It's 11 days.
11 days. I knew it was.
Days.
I knew it was around the week mark. I did not realize it was that long.
Yeah, it's and they brought in helicopters, tanks.
Yep.
They brought in full brigades, set up camp across the ridgeline from them in a field. Right? It was a full-on assault.
Yep.
It was not just a no-knock warrant. They
Um,
they it was a complete travesty.
yep.
If they were to do that to my house, I think I would do the same. Right? You have nothing. There are no there's no suspicion of anything. You show up, you kill my dog and shoot my son.
It's war.
You've you've started some really big shit.
Yep.
And that's not the first time they've done it, right? Or no, that is the first time. That's not the only time they've done it. They've which could be a whole lot longer conversation. Was Waco, right? And they did the same thing, and they got the information from a FedEx or UPS guy that had dropped a dummy grenade out of one of the packages, and they went off of just what he saw, not knowing what it was, and they put together a team. Seth, do you remember what was happening with the ATF at the time?
So the ATF was under scrutiny for the Ruby Ridge event, and they were actually in the process of being decommissioned. So it came at a very, very strategic time where they needed to have an absolute win.
Yeah.
Fuck, did they regret that one?
Yeah, and I'm with you. There's the guy that was there from the Branch Davidians, David Koresh.
Yep.
He was an atrocious guy. He did some really bad things, but the way that they got there was completely illegal, and they had again no just cause. And then when there's a whole debate, right? If they killed the dogs before, there's a whole history thing going there that if you went down a couple different rabbit holes, it would say 3 different things. And they tried to do the same thing, but the Branch Davidians were like, nope, you're not coming in here. And they said,
which they were well within their rights to do so.
Absolutely. 100%. Do you remember what transpired first? How the whole thing kicked off into what it was at Waco?
So if I remember correctly, they had shown up to verify information concerning the firearms and the dummy grenades and everything else that were said to have been inside the compound itself. And they sent 2 agents, essentially just knocked on the front door, said, hey, this is why we're here. And parts of the reports that they failed to mention to everybody was David Koresh absolutely invited them in and showed them everything. Had nothing to hide, showed them everything that was going on. They confirmed the intel that they had to be falsified, but it in turn opened them up to a bigger investigation, because what they found in there was fully automatic machine guns, or at least the parts to create a fully automatic machine gun.
Which has been deemed, if it's not actually in a firearm, then you don't have an NFA item.
Right.
Right? So I can purchase a full auto trigger, drop-in trigger, as long as I don't put it in a firearm.
Correct.
It is not a full auto firearm, and it is not an NFA item.
Yep.
So
since the new information that they gathered while they were on site, they took that back and decided to just double down on stupidity.
I don't think they doubled down. I think they quadrupled down.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that turned into the biggest standoff in the biggest standoff and the biggest mass casualty event that the U.S. has seen concerning the ATF. So 51 days they were on a standoff. 51 days, which it ended, and there are, conflicting stories and conflicting evidence. But 82 Branch Davidians, 28 of whom were children, all perished and burned alive inside that compound due to the act of the HRT teams sent in by ATF.
What is HRT?
That was so the HRT was the I don't want to butcher it because I can't remember. It's the high risk something
response team.
Yeah, there you
go. And if there's a theory out there, I don't know if it's been confirmed or not, but when they cut his power, right? They cut the power to the house. Mm-hmm. He lit up a generator, plugged in a speaker, and sang a song, played some music with his guitar, got up on the roof and said, "Fuck you, you're not coming in here," basically.
Mm-hmm.
And
by no stretch of the imagination was David Koresh a decent human being.
No,
he was a womanizer. He was, for all intents and purposes, the evidence shows that he was more than likely a fucking child molester.
Yes,
and that makes him an absolute garbage human being and a piece of shit. But it still does not negate the constitutional rights of an American citizen.
Right. No matter. So I have family that has actually got off on drug charges because the cops violated their Fourth Amendment right? Illegal search and seizure. So if the evidence that you obtain illegally, the evidence is not admissible in court. And that's basically what happened at Ruby Ridge and Waco.
Mm-hmm.
Now, by the end of it, the survivors actually went to court, and they were deemed innocent, and the government had to pay them for their losses. And there was somebody there that was recently out of the Army and was watching the whole thing. Do you remember who that was?
Timothy McVeigh.
All right. And what is Timothy McVeigh famous for?
Murrah Building bombing, Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City. And they are saying that the direct correlation to the Oklahoma City bombing, which is a federal building, that housed the ATF, that the direct correlation is that he was there, and he was in Desert Shield,
I believe so.
And he then was like, "What the hell am I fighting for? What did I fight for?" And he felt that their rights were violated, and there was only one way to try and stop it. Unfortunately, there were children in the daycare, and most of the ATF wasn't even there.
And again, like with everything else, there's conflicting evidence and conflicting reports as to the actual incident of the bombing, the individuals involved, the intended targets. Now, it was painted as a retaliatory attack for Waco, because they're saying that the intended target was the ATF, of whom 95% were not in the office that day.
Correct.
Take that information for what you will. But yes, lots of innocent civilians did lose their lives. In no way, shape, or form am I saying that, trying to martyr somebody like Timothy McVeigh, like he was doing the right thing or this or that. But these things have a snowball effect, right? Government overreach has a snowball effect for the people who have the capability of thinking for themselves.
Yeah. Ted Gunderson. I don't know if I've heard that name. Ted Gunderson said it was a government operation.
Yep, and that's kind of what I was talking about as far as conflicting evidence and conflicting stories, personnel that were involved. There was supposedly a second, and I've reviewed footage of a second man inside the that U-Haul van, or the Penske van, the Penske truck, of which nobody found any more evidence of. Magically disappeared, yada yada yada, and you could go down that rabbit hole for hours talking about the what ifs and was it a planned internal attack, just to help push a narrative. But at this point, just over the three incidences that we've talked about with Ruby Ridge, with Waco, and with the Murrah building bombing, it's not out of the realm of possibility, I would say, as to inside manufactured type event, right?
Right. No, I absolutely agree with that. We have evidence that the government does that kind of thing anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So if wow, somebody dropped a YouTube link. I'll check that out. But the government has practiced this for so long that they do it in other countries, right? They go into other countries, they manufacture shit, and then they cause the infrastructure to fall from within. You divide, and
so Ted Gunderson was one of the main people behind the satanic panic of the 1980s, right? With the McMartin preschool case. I don't know if you remember that.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So in the 80s, right, there's all of the people that were trying to point at like heavy metal, rock and roll, all of that, right? Trying to point specifically to music and culture as to what's causing all of the problems in society, right?
Okay,
And
he
they
was
started
that
blaming
Metallica headhunter.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So really, and what he's saying is head of the CIA, Los Angeles branch. So it just ties in more, right? Everything just kind of comes together. And did you pull that up, Alvin, and actually look at it? Look up who Ted Gunderson was, or did you know?
No, I'm looking it up right now.
Okay, and we'll do more research to see that as well, right? That's just the facts and when shit can tie together. But oh, there you go. Let's see.
So I don't know if you can see it or not. Well, I might have to hook up my second monitor, but after retiring from the FBI, Gunderson set up a private investigation firm. Scrolling down a little bit, going back up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little harder to see. Let's see. Oh, there we go. We can see it whenever I put it on my vertical screen. I'm trying to scroll through the article like I can control it.
Go get a towel. No! No!
But you know, we will find all kinds of stuff, and this is one of the reasons that we at least me, I'm gonna say me, believe that the ATF should be fucking dismantled. They just overreach is atrocious. They are actively trying to remove our Second Amendment rights. Actively.
Yep.
They are enforcing policy, not law. Right? With everything that the ATF has is policy. The only law that was enacted was that basically they have fucking sweeping powers. And that's unconstitutional.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are we going to follow? Are we going to follow the Constitution, or are we going to follow the ATF? We got a little bit of an echo.
No, it's not.
So it's probably me.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Apparently, I'm a hot commodity this afternoon with the phone calls.
It's okay.
But no, one of the things that I do want to point out, because you can see it, and I wish I had it pulled up now, but you can see it even through Wikipedia, right? So a lot of these older events, and I'm looking up just Timothy McVeigh on its own. Some of these trigger words, right? A Gulf War veteran, McVeigh became radicalized by anti-government beliefs, and he sought revenge against the United States federal government for the 1993 Waco siege, as well as the 1992 Ruby Ridge incident. So there's trigger words here that you're seeing in present day, right? The radicalized anti-government beliefs. I'm sorry, have you taken a history class? That's what Americans are. That's what we do. That's what we're known around the world for, is fuck around and find out, and being able to hold our government accountable for stuff. Now, can I say that's been the epitome of our existence in the last, I don't know, 70 years? Absolutely not. But it's a part of who we are, right? It's a part of who we are as a nation, as a people. And those trigger words that they're constantly using, and I wish I could, Alvin, if you could try to find that. The ATF put out, I'm sorry, no, it was the Department of Homeland Security put out a new information sheet on people ratting their neighbors out, what to look for in extremist ideologies and domestic terrorism. People taking pride in their country, flying the American flag. Flying the American flag is a sign of domestic terrorism. Are you fucking kidding me?
I'm a domestic terrorist because I have Molan Labe tattooed on my arm.
Yeah, exactly. And they went as far as saying, oh, well, they could have these tattoos. They try to say, so domestic terrorism and white supremacy, right?
Yep.
Anything to do with an American flag tattoo, or flying American flags, or having a pride in your nation, are all these trigger points for these so-called radicals. So according to the Department of Homeland Security, I'm a domestic terrorist because of the things that I believe, because I believe in our Constitution, and I believe our government should be held accountable. And I'm okay with that.
So, when you started your company, Warhorse Ordnance, I know that it's a lot based around the fact that you love tactical gear, you love competing, and you believe that you could build a better product. And from what I've seen, you can, right? We've tested it. You have R&D, you have pro staff that does that.
Yep.
But your main goal is to body, right? Your main
Right.
goal is to equip everybody.
Right.
That way, if the government continues to be tyrannical,
Mm-hmm.
then they will be well equipped, right?
Correct. Well, and again, let's not kid ourselves here. And I know it's been spoke about a million times, especially in the Congress floor, in the House floor. The Second Amendment was not written for hunting. It is not about deer. The Second Amendment was to for the American people to have the ability and to be able to tit for tat, for layman's terms, tit for tat. When it comes to our government, we have the ability, nay, we have the duty to overthrow our government when it becomes too far gone, too tyrannical. That is our obligation. That is our duty. That's what the Second Amendment was written for. It's not about hunting and providing for your family. So,
Well,
what?
and if I remember right, when you, me, and Alvin
Mhm.
swore into our military, we took an oath,
Yep.
and the oath says that we will defend our Constitution against foreign enemies
Mhm.
and domestic
And domestic,
and domestic.
and to uphold the Constitution.
Correct, and I believe that my oath never ended.
Right. So all that taken into account, when we started Warhorse Ordnance, me and my partner Ryan, that was kind of on the forefront of what we wanted to do. Now, obviously, there's business models and kind of things that we wanted to do design wise, holes that we saw in the industry that we wanted to fill. But behind all of that, it's 100%. We have a nation of bickering baboons right now, all the way from the homeless all the way to Capitol Hill. And that's all everybody wants to do. And you see a lot of these pro 2A advocacy groups and stuff like that. They're always talking about, well, we got to do this. We got to do something. We got to convene. We the people, we the people. You always hear we the people. And I can only speak for myself when I say this, for myself and for my company. We believe that it's been an overused and exhausted phrase, we the people. If we the people were really about stuff, then things would have already changed. So instead of adding to the constant back and forth of people never coming to an agreement on anything, never finding common ground, and never finding any kind of progress to move forward on anything, you're essentially preparing for an inevitable collapse. So for us, it was a conversation of, well, what can we do proactively as individuals, right? Not just as a company, but as individuals, me and my partner Ryan. Um, what is it that we can offer solution wise to the ongoing problems? And that was, okay, well, we can offer gear. Okay, well, that's fine. We can offer new designs. We can do this, we can do that. And one of the biggest things that we started with was kind of our EDC line. And our EDC line was generally designed for the average everyday Joe. It gives somebody, your average plumber or mill worker or this or that, it gives them a solid system to be able to carry, whether it be concealed, whether it be open carry, extra mags, this, that. We wanted a baseline product that gave everybody a fighting chance. Then the next hurdle was, okay, well, how do we make it affordable, being manufactured here in the U.S.? So we did extensive research, extensive meetings and emails with a lot of our suppliers for our materials, for our hardware and everything else, because we really wanted to hammer it in to where everything on our belt systems, on our slings, everything is manufactured here in the U.S. All materials are sourced and manufactured here stateside. We buy them, get them together, and get them out. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean we can compete with your Amazon Chinese $10 battle belt. If that's what you're banking on saving your life, then more power to you. You're going to realize quickly that's not going to work. But we are able to offer the cheapest in competition, in the whole competition realm. When it comes to the gear there, our EDC lines are the cheapest on the market. We drove our profit margins very, very low. And that was us contributing to the solution, right? Because if the collapse is inevitable, the best thing you can do is get every one of your neighbors armed up, right? With
Yeah,
good,
and-
solid gear.
Yeah, and to that, aren't you partnered with a holster company so that whenever you purchase your EDC, you can actually custom make it with a holster that fits what you carry, or for most of them?
Correct. So we actually partner with a company called Anchor Point Holsters. They are based out of Oregon. Colin, he's an awesome dude. I don't want to say he's fairly new. I think he's been in the business since 2020, 2021. So he's fairly new. But we were able to team up with him through our pro staff, and we offer bundles with our competition belts and everything. So for new beginners coming into competition shooting, which has been a huge proponent of what we're doing. I love shooting competition, and being able to offer a product not only that we manufacture, but another American-made business. Being able to partner with them and give you the cheapest bundle on the planet to get you started. Because ultimately that's where we're coming from, is that 2A advocacy. We want to be able to create new enthusiasts, right? Not just from a self-defense standpoint. And one of the biggest things we push, especially with our pro staff, is get training. You can have all the gear in the world, but if you have dick for training, you're just a weapons cache for someone else, and you will cause more harm than you are capable of doing good. So we're constantly driving anybody we can into the competition market. And we've even gone as far as advertising for even other companies. You don't even have to buy from us. Just get involved with shooting. Get involved, get to your local range, get involved with some highly skilled instructors with immaculate backgrounds. And if you can't, then by all means, shoot us an email, shoot us a DM on any social media platform. We'll get you hooked up. We've got pro staff all over the nation. And essentially that's our goal, is getting more people involved.
Yeah. So, and I actually will extend that to us, right? If you have any questions, send them to us. If you are trying to find training, get a hold of us as well. If you want to send it to multiple places, we will get in touch with each other and we will make it happen.
Yep.
Now, how difficult has it been to source all of your material locally or within the U.S.? And before we go too far, I've actually got a question. I don't think I've ever asked you this.
Okay.
Are your sewing machines actually American made as well?
They are. So there's a lot of newer technology when it came to the sewing game. When we first got involved, and we decided to do this, it was ultimately kind of a range conversation that we've always kind of just hem-hawed about, and we were just like, fuck it, pull the trigger. So we took what we had in savings at the time, and we bought an ancient Singer and an ancient Conso from the 30s. So they were they were actually used to sew garments for the U.S. GIs in World War II. So it was a, kind of an awesome full circle type of deal. Um, but we got those. There was always learning curves, and I think I've mentioned this before. Neither one of nor myself or my partner, we didn't know how to sew when we started the company. That was just kind of an on the job thing, and but it was something we were determined to do, and we wanted to. I mean, there's stuff we're still learning. Um, but yes, no, we were able to source American made products all the way down to the sewing machines. We were able to source all of our materials, all of our webbing, our 55301, our dive belt, all of our pattern webbing. It comes and is manufactured here in in uh, in the U.S. And we've got multiple vendors and distributors that we deal with just to make sure we can have that availability for those patterns and hardware.
Absolutely. And where can they find them?
I'm sorry.
Where can they find these wonderful products?
All right. So you can find us on any social media platform, Facebook. We're on Rumble, Instagram, TikTok for now. You can also find us on Clapper, but our website is warhorseordnance.com. No I.
Why the emphasis on the no I?
Because it has been a repetitive thing, and I will chalk that up to my my military experience. Most civilians don't know what ordnance is, and so they automatically think, they'll spell it out, and obviously it comes up with the I, but it is just ORDNANCE.
And if you can't find it, it's actually scrolling in the banner below us.
Yes.
And what's the difference in ordnance and ordinance?
All right. So ordnance, just as a whole, it has to do with material logistics, to include weapons, ammunition, vehicles, maintenance tools, or equipment. It could be all the way up to artillery shells. And when we came up with the name Warhorse Ordnance, the original plan was to become an FFL and be able to offer firearms as well. But we found that we have a very, very niche market for what we do with gear. And as of right now, gear is what we plan on just continuing with. Now, gear also, again, like I said, comes with, it could be ammunition, it could be weapons, any type of logistics, vehicles, maintenance tools. It could be absolutely anything.
Yeah, and what you've
Essentially
done
a
really
force
good.
multiplier.
Yeah, and what you've done is you've done a really good job of integrating yourself into the competition shooting. Your pro staff, you have some wonderful firearms manufacturers and dealers, and trainers, right? They train the U.S. forces.
Yep.
They have contracts, so you don't just send your stuff out to any Joe Blow.
Nope.
You actually send all of your stuff out to professionals to
Correct.
make sure that the quality is flawless.
Yep. So our in our pro staff, so we have professional consultants, and then we actually have pro staff that we're under contract with. Most of our pro staff has been in the competition market for a number of years. We've got a couple masterclass shooters. We got I think an A class shooter, a B class shooter that we're under contract with. We send them most of our gear to be able to kind of really try to trash it out. So that's kind of our claim to fame, is tear it up if you can. And they've been very, very they've created a amazing R&D program for us, being able to test everything out. Now we do have our professional consultants, which are directly related to DoD training. Specifically, I cannot give out names or locations on that one, but they give us solid feedback on absolutely everything. And this is, most of our stuff is at our cost. So we will come up with multiple renditions of a design that we've decided to come up with or work on. We get those sent out on our dime. We have them tested by professionals, and we get green lights. We get, little notes here and there where it says, "Oh, well, I love this, but let's try and change it up to this. This would work better." And we immediately enact it into the design. And that's kind of been our claim to fame. Is we're not, I would say the difference between us and other gear manufacturers is it's not something that we create. Now, obviously, we're guilty of making things that we like, but I would say probably 90% of our product base, it has been through the input of our pro staff and or our professional consultants. We want to know what works for you. So
that's actually the best thing to do, right? Because there's actually not a sling out there that is one size fits all.
right.
So there's not a belt out there that's one size fit all. You're actually listening to your customers, and you do custom as well, right?
Right.
You just made a chest rig for a friend of ours.
Yep.
For his camera.
Yeah, so him and his wife do. They're professional photographers, his wife is, and he helps his wife with doing weddings and stuff like that. So we had a blueprint that we had kind of designed for a chest rig, for a later launch, and discussing that with him and kind of what he was wanting, what he was needing. I was like, okay, well, I think we can do this, or we can change that. So essentially I took our blueprint, stripped it down of everything to tote freedom seeds, and built him a baseline camera rig to where he can carry multiple lenses. He can carry multiple cameras. And I believe we did a dump pouch specifically for his drone. So it was a complete custom job. I had fun on that one.
Yeah, and if I remember right, he told us that it actually saved him, right? A drunk guy fell, and whenever he fell, he grabbed a hold of it, and it held him up, right?
Yeah.
So it not only did it hold the gear, but it had held him as well.
Right.
And worked just fine. He was able to allow the guy to come down pretty slow. And we have another friend that bought an extra large EDC from you, or and he's using it as a fall assist around a tree for when he's up in his tree stand.
Right.
So
that was a first time request, and it's a very simple design. Essentially, we made him the world's largest tactical belt to use for a fall assist while he's hunting.
Oh, what weight will it hold?
So the 2-inch Cobra buckles. I'm sorry. It was a 1.75-inch Cobra buckle. I believe has a static pull of around 6,500 pounds, maybe 57. I'd have to double check.
So not very much.
For 50, I mean, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, and the same technology goes into just your EDCs, right?
Right.
You've got all the same stitching, all the same
Yep.
quality of materials. It's actually designed so that a lot of people, whenever you buy a belt and you put a holster on it, it kind of folds and it wants
Yeah.
to pull away from the body. From what I've noticed is yours, they'll stay close to the body and
Yep.
they'll hold your holster and they'll hold your magazine holsters pretty rigid, if not perfectly rigid, so that they are where they're supposed to be when you need it.
Right. And that was kind of the mainstay for how we based our designs from the get-go was we wanted to try and do our excuse me, we wanted to do our best to bridge the gap between comfortability and durability. Now obviously ours are specifically designed for carrying a weapon system and extra mags and whatever else you want to put on it. So that's why we've designed them the way that we have. Anybody can take some softer material and this and that, and it's super flexible and super comfortable. But the second you put a concealed carry holster on it, it tends to droop or it tends to sag, which in turn inevitably just breaks down the material that the belt's made out of. So most of our designs come from the 1.5-inch dive belt webbing that we use on the inside of the belt system, which gives you that rigidity. It's kind of like a double back design. We do have single wall, we've got double wall, and we have triple wall designs. Obviously, the more stringent the wall capacity is, the more rigid the belt's going to be. And we wanted to be able to offer multiple different renditions of the same product, or essentially the same product, so that people can carry to, or they can purchase based on what their EDC is. Like me personally, I conceal carry. I don't do the subcompact. I don't like it. I've got massive hands. I like my full size pistols. So the weight of those, it's an 18+1. I want to carry 2 extra magazines. I typically have my multi-tool with me. So I've got it's not a combat loadout, but it's a decent amount for an everyday type carry situation. So we wanted to be able to design it to where it could carry absolutely anything you have.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to carry just a firearm,
Yeah.
right? You can use it for other uses. And you don't just make EDC belts, right? You make slings, right. You make sling keepers,
yep,
right? And you put all the same technology into these,
right?
And you use them, right? You get out and you
right.
actually work and you train and you do what you have to do, and you put them to the test as well,
right?
But something else that you sell is some wonderful gear, right? Warhorse Ordnance. This is probably the most comfortable hoodie I've ever had in my life.
Yep.
They have some wonderful apparel. You've got hats, you've got shirts, you've got cups.
Mm-hmm.
You've got some really cool stuff. You guys need to get over to the website and check it out.
Oh, absolutely. And something else that we did early in our building of the company. One of the first people we reached out to was North American Rescue. So my partner comes from a medical background. He went to school for hospital stuff. I wish I could make that sound cooler. But essentially he's a lot smarter than I am. I bring the grunt shit to the table. I want to build it. I want to tear it up. I want to make sure it's going to work. He looks at things through a very, very meticulous lens, with his medical background, and being in a medical background, that was one of the things we really wanted to offer to everybody. So we knew we wanted to team up with a medical supplies manufacturer. So we teamed up with North American Rescue. We are officially partnered with them. So we offer all of their stuff as well. So any of your bug out, they've got everything from a bug out bag to a boo boo kit, your standard, little boo boo kits for the house, all the way up to an advanced IFAC. You can get absolutely everything from them. So we've got most of their products up on our website as well.
Yeah, and if you guys can't tell, he's actually kind of a really small guy, right? So that medium shirt that he's wearing is a 2XL.
Yeah.
So if he wears this stuff and puts it to the test, I mean, it's some good shit.
Yep.
So, I mean, do we want to get into some other really good stuff, or do we want to keep talking about how wonderful your company is?
No, you're perfectly fine, man. This is your show. You take it where you want.
So, is there a time frame that you might think that we're either going to have an economic collapse, we're going to have some kind of major catastrophe that might actually warrant us needing this stuff?
For me, I think I think since the 50s, let me take that back. Since the Industrial Revolution, we have been on a ticking time clock. Now, they kind of went through something similar, like in the 60s, people waking up to a lot of corruption, waking up to, you saw it with the Vietnam era guys, right? A lot of those dudes came home to absolute hatred for them and what they were doing, because the American people were waking up and realizing, hey, we're doing shit we're not supposed to be fucking doing. And you saw a nationwide kind of like a panic, right? I think we're in something similar, except the information goes a lot deeper. For the time
and
being.
the resources for us to achieve that information.
Yes.
Right? Then they didn't have the internet. They didn't have all of the people putting the information out. And,
right.
And being able to retrieve it and see the corruption, right? Because then it was you were relying on the local news.
Yep.
Right? Your city or large metropolitan area news.
It was a lot easier to lie to people back then.
Absolutely. It was so much easier. So what are you thinking, right? We're kind of close. I'm thinking 5 to 10 years. I think there's going to be...
I'm roughly around the 10-year mark. Do I think it could happen sooner? Absolutely.
But you don't think that there's enough people with their backs against the wall, right?
Right. Well, and again, I don't think, like we touched on before, the whole we the people aspect of this. I don't see the support for each other as a constitutional republic is there. I don't believe it's there anymore, nor do I think it will ever be there. What I do see is more of an outside influence that will inevitably overstep its fucking bounds. I mean, you're seeing it right now. We've got people who can barely afford their light bill right now. We've got, homeless vets every fucking where. The VA is in a fucking shithole, and we're sending hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine. The fuck does Ukraine got to do with me? You know what I mean? What does it have to do with my family?
Well, that's just it. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Right? It has nothing to do with us. We could go down a whole different tangent on why we want to be there, on what the government's strategic reason for wanting that location is. But to hit on what you were talking about Vietnam, right? When the guys were coming back, they were realizing that what we were fighting for was trash. I joined the Marine Corps directly after 9/11. I was a senior in high school, um, and we went overseas, thinking that we were fighting for something good, and when we get back and the information that we're receiving is that it was all for naught, right? We're losing too many people, or lost too many people, and then I served 2 tours in Iraq, so when I got back, and in 2011 I think it was, we pulled out of Iraq, and then that's when ISIS was sprung up, and then ISIL after that was a pretty big deal, and they just took over the area. So everything that we did was for naught. And then the same thing in Afghanistan, right? It just appears that our government doesn't fucking know what they're doing.
So, and to that extent, I will also say, you and I have had multiple conversations, obviously off recording. We've had multiple conversations, multiple rabbit holes, this, but ultimately, we call it the American bubble, right? It's the American bubble. Nobody cares. Nobody wants to care because it's an inconvenience. Nobody cares to do the research that will lead them down the truth hole of where we're at, where we're going, and the steps necessary to try and get back. As long as people are still able to leave their house and go buy Starbucks, I don't see that changing, right? Because that's where we're at as a country. The urgency is not there, like you said it before. Not enough people have their backs against the wall. Now you're seeing it with your middle class families where they're not able to afford light bills. They have to choose between making a car payment or putting food on the table. You know what I mean? Those people are more.
That's never a choice.
Exactly.
You're gonna put food on the table, let the fucking car go because we can walk.
Exactly.
And this gets to the point that you're saying, right? People don't want to be uncomfortable. Their comfort level is more important than their ability to survive, and it is just flabbergasting, right?
Yes.
It just blows my mind. And we've talked about self-sustainability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you can depend on yourself to grow your own food, to raise your own cattle, to own your property and provide. And when I say own your own property, I mean not have a mortgage. The only thing at the end of the day you have to pay for is your property tax. Now, is that as easy to do in a metropolitan area? No. But is being stuck in a metropolitan area a choice? Yes. And if we get into self-sustainability, which is where your gear would come in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now we're in a self-sustainable lifestyle. Well, who's going to want your self-sustainable lifestyle? Everybody else. And they're going to use force to get it. Or the tyrannical government is going to use force to stop you from doing what you're doing.
Yep. Well, and inevitably, I think that's what's going to end up fucking happening. Whether it's an external force, whether it comes from our own government. I mean, we're seeing it play out in Texas right now, right, with the whole border crisis. Governor Greg Abbott has told any federal aid or any federal direction to fuck all the way off. This is Texas. We're going to do it our fucking way. Now, once that happened, you saw governors across the entire Southeast that said, no, that's exactly how we're going to play this. So do I see the collapse coming from a militarized force externally? No, but I do see a self-sabotage from the U.S. government. I see something like that happening more frequently. And then, so you got to think about it, right? If an entire region of people lose resources, whether that be power, whether it be the ability to flush their toilet. I mean, you look at that in Flint, Michigan, all that stuff. in the water and is poisoning and killing people and everything else, and the government's done fuck all to fucking fix it. You're going to see a breakdown of resources that I think would cause the forward pattern necessary to make the changes.
Well, this is their MO, right?
Yep.
What they're doing in America is the MO in any other country that
Yep.
that we have been involved in.
Yep.
You break everything down. You
Destabilization.
you tear everything apart so that they can divide and conquer, and then when it crumbles, they're going to try and come in and be the savior, but they're not going to be able to accomplish it because we have too many Americans actually stand up for something. But then does that go back to they think that the government's going to do it for them, so their back isn't against the wall, right? So are we in between a rock and a hard place?
I think for some, yes. I think there are individuals like myself, like you, like Alvin, and several others that we've spoken with who maintain that mindset of constant readiness, right? Does that mean we are fully prepared for absolutely anything? No, not even close. But what it does mean is we have a leg up on.
You never can be.
No, exactly. But I think what it does do is it enables us to have the foresight to watch the surrounding bullshit, right? It gives you an opportunity to pay attention to information coming across the media screens. It gives you an opportunity to pay attention to what we're doing in foreign wars that we've got nothing to do with. You know what I mean? I think there are some who are wide-eyed enough to know and understand that obviously something's happening. There's a lot of shit that just not adding up. A lot of the dots aren't connecting. But for the most part, I believe as a nation, I think the majority of us are still living with our head in the sand. Like I said, as long as there's a Starbucks on the fucking corner where you can get your vanilla mocha latte, whatever, I don't think you're going to see that immediate change. I think it'll be, by the time shit does happen, the mass casualties are just going to be astronomical.
Well, yeah, right. They say that it only takes 3% of the nation to actually overthrow a government or to change something, right? It would take 3% of our population. And to that point, I absolutely believe that 98 to 99% of our population has their head in the sand, because 1% of 335 million is 3.3 million people. Right? So 3.3 million people spread across our country is very, 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 very few.
Very few.
But here's kind of the problem, though. We can't even get one fucking political party to agree on what needs to fucking happen. We can't get one side or the other to pull their fucking head out of their ass to realize what needs to be done for the people. And that's the fucking problem.
Well, they have to give a shit about the people, right? Because whenever you look into it, and we've done the research, Alvin, there's a whole lot more to it. I'm gonna kind of brush over it. You've got the people that have got all of the money, that have funded almost everything for the two main countries in North America, and their affiliates that are also lobbyists. They're paying for lobbyists to be out there. And if there's anybody that knows anything about politics, if you're not corrupt, then you're not gonna fucking get anywhere in office. And this comes from personal experience. When I ran for state office, The first thing they told me, I'm glad I lost, first of all. When they first told me that I was going to have to, I didn't need to know how to write bills. I just had to know what I wanted to say, give it to lawyers, and then I was going to have to go to all of the representatives to convince them to be on my side and agree to sign the bill. And then the only way for that to happen is for me to agree to sign one of theirs. So then I have to become corrupt right from the beginning. And this is state politics. Now imagine what's going on in the federal government, right? You've got larger fucking lobbyists, more money. There's insider trading. You know, how do you become a multi-millionaire? How do you become a multi-millionaire with a salary of $170,000 a year? It's logistically impossible. Alvin, you're mute. It's logistically impossible without insider trading, right? You've got Nancy Pelosi's husband that has something like a 96 or 97% success rate in the stock market, which is better than Warren Buffett, and that's improbable, right? I don't even think AI could make that happen and have that good of numbers. And once we realize that, and we start putting our nose to the grind and deciding that we're not going to stand for it, and the only way to do that is to pull yourself away from the system. That's the only thing you can do, is pull yourself away from the system, and the only way to do that is to become self-sustainable. And there are multiple ways to get started. That could be a whole nother conversation. But Seth, if you're, what would you recommend? What would be the first step, in your opinion, in self-sustainability? I know what my opinion is. My first step.
So
Stop being a lazy piece of shit and take up.
So for me, the first step in self-sustainability, right, it's simply knowledge. You don't have to go out and buy shit tons of fucking land, and you don't have to, acquire anything quote unquote belt fed. It's really just knowledge. Learn what the planting seasons are. Learn what food, what crops, what fruits, what vegetables grow in certain times of years. Start small. Start with a small little raised bed. And I know
simple tomatoes.
Yeah, exactly. I know a lot of times we speak directly from a militaristic mindset, which comes down the line. But at the end of the day, the ones who are alive are the ones who are gonna fucking be able to carry on the knowledge and everything else. So being able to sustain those supposed fights, and logistics are a huge thing. Learning your plant and crop seasons, learning how to make
Your region,
how to make a still.
your crop region, right?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
you can only grow certain things in certain regions of the country.
Yep.
And if you don't know these things, go to a farm store, right?
Yep.
Just tell them, say, hey, I grew tomatoes. I planted some tomatoes last year, and they didn't come out. What did I do wrong? And
Yeah.
they're gonna say, hey, did you do this? You go, oh no, I didn't think of that. Did you do this? Oh no, hey, did you plant before this date? I did. Well, that's too much. That's too soon, right? Well, you've also got to pay attention to the frost, so you've got to pay attention to the weather. You have to cover them. You have to, it sounds like there's so much to it, but it's really not. And whenever you go to your farm stores and you start asking questions, they can help you, right? They are more than willing to give the information needed so that so that you can be successful too. Farmers and local arborists, right? They're going to say, hey, this is what I do. They don't want anybody to fail. They don't.
Well, and I'd take it even a step further. Learn your local migration patterns or your local wildlife, whether it be birds, insects, even deer, all the way up into just random stuff. One, you have certain insects and stuff that'll tear up crops or specific crops. Secondly, unless you plan on eating 100% a vegetarian lifestyle, you're going to need to understand the herding patterns of your local deer or elk or wherever it is that you're located. Learn those specific animals. Learn the nesting patterns of specific animals, right? Anybody can have chickens and stuff like that, but if disease sets up in your coop, then you can't eat the meat, you can't use the eggs. And that's something else that a lot of people don't think about. They think, oh well, I've got a tomato plant and some chickens. You're not going to get very far. So being able to use that information and those skill sets, like learn how to look up and learn how to set snares, little stuff like that. So being able to retain that sustenance, right? That nutrition, that's going to be a huge part of this. It's not just fire teams and CQB and blasting everything. The majority of death will come from starvation or sickness. Learn home remedies. Learn holistic ways and old ways of being able to care for infected wounds, and natural remedies for colds and stuff like that. Those will get you further than shooting a rifle ever will.
Absolutely. And as I said, right, it sounds like a whole lot. It does.
Yeah.
It sounds like way more than anybody could ever tackle.
Yep.
But once you get started, right, you take your first step, you automatically start learning other stuff. You're like, hey, I can grow a tomato plant. I could probably grow okra, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I seen this thing on YouTube. I'm gonna build this box, and I'm gonna plant some potatoes, right? So you start growing your crop. Now you can follow some people. We have this wonderful thing called the internet that we're communicating on, right? You're in Alabama, I'm in Missouri, he's in Tennessee. We're talking, and we're reaching people. Don't know where they're all from, but this thing is amazing, and all the information is out there. And if you want to bite off bigger, you can, right? And talk to your local farmers. And you can even do this in a metropolitan area. They have wall potters, right, where you can plant herbs, and you can plant tomatoes and things on the wall.
Hydroponics, container gardens. If you live in the city, don't think that you cannot at least start growing a little bit of your own food, even if you live in an apartment dwelling, right? You don't have to own land to get started.
Yep.
Look up container gardens. Look up vertical tower gardens. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. Just because you live in an apartment doesn't mean you can't get started.
Right. Now, if you have, and Matt, you and I have talked about this before, the idea of having hundreds and hundreds of acres, it may seem ideal to the beginner, but I assure you it's not. The more you have, the more you have to maintain. Do you have the personnel to be able to maintain it? not only do you have to maintain the property and the crops that are there, you're going to have to maintain a security presence with that determined boundary of where you're doing your planting and having livestock and everything else. Now, if you have the capability of having a few hundred acres, put your dwelling right smack dab in the middle of it and farm and care for about 2 or 3 acres of it. That's the best thing you can possibly do. But like Alvin said, you don't have to have all this land. You don't have to have cattle in your backyard to be able to learn these things. So from a beginner standpoint, I would say, circling back, knowledge is power, man. And it's got absolutely nothing to do with squeezing the trigger on a rifle.
You're exactly right.
I can't go with him
And
anymore.
it's everything is about a start, right? And there are multiple ways of making it happen. We get stuck in. We just talked to a friend of ours today, right? It's the pivot point or the momentum.
Go ahead, baby.
It's all about breaking that curvature so that the momentum will start.
Yep.
And for those that like to read, right? You can go to the library and find books. You can go to the farm store and they have books. And what is it? I think I'm trying to remember. A family of 4 can set up a compound on less than 5 acres, and provide more food than you could ever need.
Nope, 100%.
So you don't need a ton of land.
Well, and we just had this conversation with a mutual friend. She was baffled at the concept of everything we were talking about, and it seemed almost kind of overwhelming with the amount of information that we were discussing. But it literally just takes that first step, and that first step is understanding your location, what is good, what is bad, and what is possible in your exact location. Again, you can be in an apartment studio, and the information of, okay, well, I've got no problem in my area. I can grow tomatoes like a motherfucker. You might be in Florida. You can grow fruit like a motherfucker. It's all about knowledge of your geographical location and knowing what you're capable of doing. And that first step, in the insurmountable amount of information that you can intake in this specific topic, that first little step, grow a tomato plant. Guarantee you won't fuck it up.
Right, at Walmart they sell
Yeah.
the topsy-turvies.
Yep.
Right? You can grow them right up next to a window. Like
Yep.
if you're in an apartment, you could hang it from the ceiling as long as it's got sunlight. It'll grow. And
Well,
it's-
even
it's
if you're in a
start.
high-rise apartment, right? Even if you're in a high-rise apartment, there are certain things you can grow in the balcony of a fucking apartment. Okay, all they need is a little bit of water and a little bit of sunlight. That's it.
That's it.
They don't need a lot of fucking shit involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if you're content or I hate to use the word stubborn, right? If you're stubborn enough to stay in a metropolitan area, then you need to make a bug out plan. And your bug out plan has to be a location that can do all of these things for you, and you're going to have to prepare that property and maintain it. Because if you think that when it all kicks off that you're just going to go to that property and stick a seed in the ground and just start growing something, you're not. It's a 3 to 5 year process to be able to provide for a family of 4.
Yep.
So you have to get on it and do something. You don't have to own the property. If you can find somebody that you absolutely trust, and you get involved with that person and help them prepare their property to not only take care of them but help take care of you, then you will work together, and you will be surprised at the things that people are willing to do.
Right.
And I think this is the fear that people have, and why there's 98 to 99% of the population that has their head stuck in the sand, right? They're just afraid to ask, and they're afraid. There you go. That's your website there?
Yep. That is
Right.
that's one of our blog posts. So we do monthly blog posts where we go over different topics and everything. This one here is specific to get home bags, where we outline kind of our opinion of what you need to have in your get home bag, what a get home bag is, and where it may or may not be necessary. So if you're on the website, warhorseordnance.com, you can subscribe to get the emails, and we send these out every month.
Yeah, it's been a pretty good resource for me. I'm on the website at least once a week.
Yeah.
At least once a week. And there's
So
your
let's
wonderful
not
wife
get
is-
let's not. Where'd Matt go?
Go
Is
ahead.
he still there? Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So let's not get confused between a get home bag and a bug out bag, right?
Yep.
Because there's a lot of people, especially in the like doomsday prepper niche, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're so worried about their fucking bug out gear and what all the fuck they're going to do.
Yep.
Right. Because let's be realistic. In most scenarios, you're probably going to be at work, or you're probably not going to be at home. Right.
It's a 90%
The main scenarios-
likelihood.
Yeah. You could have been traveling on vacation, but most people spend the majority of their life away from their homes, right? So when a catastrophic event happens, they need to get their ass the fuck home in the safest manner possible.
Yep.
So,
and we for that particular article there, we actually touched on that. I specifically wrote this article. We kind of toss back and forth, and we have some pro staff that send us bullet points that they want to go over and everything. But this particular one, I filled out, and I do put in there, don't mistake this for a bug out bag. It is exactly what it states. It's designed to get you home. And one of the biggest things for this scenario and for your get home bag, one, it always needs to stay either with you or in your vehicle at all times. This is not something you're pulling stuff out of. It needs to be set and ready to go at a moment's notice. Now, if your commute is 15 minutes down the road from your house, do you need 3 days worth of gear? No, you do not. And it gives you kind of a realistic perspective on what you need, why you need it, and how you need to pack your stuff out based off of how far you will travel from your safe area, or what have you, your home.
Yeah, and the I'm sorry if I missed it. The difference in a go bag and a get home bag, right? Your get home, and your get home may not be home.
Yeah.
Your get home bag may be to your other piece of property while
Correct.
You're out and about. And your bug out is what you're going to need to get away from your home, because you're leaving everything you have. You're taking what is on your back and what you can carry.
Right.
So you don't know unless you have worked it out, timed it, everything. Now you're going to take supplies that you have from your house to your bug out location, right?
Right.
So you're taking your necessities that you have at home and taking with you. When you have a get home bag, it's I'm having everything I have everything I need for what is it, 3 days? If you can't get home in that amount of time, right? You've got it set to where you can survive for 3 days,
Right.
right?
Nope.
So
And it's information like that that a lot of people they're either not aware of or they don't think about. Like I said, a lot of the topics that we cover and a lot of the shooting the shit conversations that we have come from a very similar militaristic mindset. Um, Most civilians don't understand that quality, and they don't know how to think from those different perspectives. Right? Um, they think, and again, I'm not. I don't want to out anybody if this is your case, but you really need to take into consideration that if you've got a backpack that has matches and a life straw, you're not going to make it very far. You need to be realistic in the information that you look up. And again, this has to do with your geographic location. Your get home bag for say my area in Alabama, in the southeast region, it is going to be vastly different than somebody who lives in say Minnesota, right?
hell, just Missouri,
Yeah.
right? Just from your location to mine, which is one state apart,
Yep.
or there's a state in between us. It's the terrain is completely different.
Right.
The the weather conditions
Hmm.
are completely different. The insects are completely different, right?
Hmm.
There's so much to it. But as we've said before, you're going to find all this stuff out as you go.
Yeah.
But if you're waiting till tomorrow to start, right? Procrastinators unite tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you're waiting till tomorrow, tomorrow never comes.
Right.
So we have to get started.
Right. And one of the biggest things that I see a lot of people. So a lot of the trainings that we've done with people here in our local area, going over the same information. One of the biggest issues I see is okay, so they watched a YouTube video or this, and they pack something out identical to what they see. They just verbatim the material, and there's nothing wrong with that. You still have useful gear in there, but your pack should change with the seasons. Your pack should change with whether or not you've got say you've had the birth of a child, right? You've added another family member, or you adopted a dog. You need to be able to take those. If your dog travels with you daily, then you need to be able to take that life into account also. Um,
Or just make it to where the dog can carry for himself.
Yeah, exactly. And those are things like don't get so set on an exact setup and say this is it. This is my one and done, be all end all. Because I can assure you, I've been doing this for years and years, and my pack changes at least once a month. Whether it be new gear that's possibly come out, like a lot of my medical bag gets changed out multiple times a month because whether I could acquire new gear or they came out with a new product or expiration dates are a real fucking thing and a lot of people don't think about that. Medical supplies have expiration dates on them, so being able to change those in and out on the regular, being able to keep up with those, that's a huge thing. So it's don't think it's a one and done. You throw it in your toolbox or you throw it in the trunk of your car and that's it. I'm good. I'm prepared. Don't be surprised if that bag lets you down.
No, absolutely. Uh, and to that, right? Medical gear. You made the comment about children, right? or animals. So if you're going to bring an animal into it, then in a child, your medical gear for those children or children or dog are a necessity. So now you have to change your pack so that you can take care of them, and but there's so many things that go into it, and we could go on for days, right? You and I, we have.
Yeah.
We talk about it constantly. I'm trying to kind of segue into some other things and think about some not get too far off on too many tangents. Because we can do that.
We've done it. We've done it for hours. And that's not to say, okay, well, new information requires a new sit rep. Yes, but no. We genuinely enjoy these topics. We generally enjoy this information because repetition is the key to success in anything that you do. And just like with anything else, your skills need to be repetitive in whether it's new technology, new gear, or just being able to start a fire with wet wood. That's not something like, oh, I did it once back when I was in Boy Scouts in fucking 3rd grade. I know how to do that. I'm good. Bitch, try it again. I bet you can.
Well, and that's because the wood changes geographically.
Yes, exactly.
And I grew up in South Texas, so the wood there is completely different than what it is here in Missouri, and the moisture content's different. The hardwoods are different. Right? Everything about it is completely different.
Yep.
So even if you're in the same location, if you've lived in the same location your whole life, then the way that the atmosphere changes things, you have to pay attention and you have to practice.
Right.
You have to.
And that's why I put so much emphasis onto geographic location. Are you going to see me with a wool-lined pair of pants in my kit? No, because it doesn't, in no way, shape, or form is it going to help me in my location. Now, we've got friends up in Canada, right? I would advise wool anything for whether it's just to keep in their car, an extra blanket. God forbid you wind up stranded on the side of the road. We saw that, how many years ago during that blizzard? People were trapped in their homes. People were trapped in their cars on the side of the road for like 3 days.
You mean the one in Dallas?
Was it Dallas? I can't remember. I don't want to misspeak on that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, up north there's blizzards that happen all the time.
Yeah.
And people are stuck in snowbanks.
Yes, exactly. And there's no rescue capable of getting to them. And that's another reason why I say check your bags daily. That your bags need to change with the season. If you live in a snowy area where temperatures drop, below freezing daily, you having an extra T-shirt in your bag is not going to do you as much good as having a wool blanket tucked away in your truck or in your car or your trunk, whatever, just for those specific things. Keep a rotation of kind of quick edibles, right? Those quick calorie boosters like cereal bars, protein bars, stuff like that. And again, those are perishable items. They have an expiration date. So that's something that helps keep you honest in rotating in and out of your bag, like I was talking about with the medical supplies. Medical supplies tend to expire. Your ointments for cuts and scrapes and bruises, your triple antibiotic ointments, fire extinguishers. If you have a fire extinguisher in your vehicle, that you need to be checking that daily, if weekly at least, if not daily, because what good is it going to do you? You know.
Well, and not only that, if you're in an area where you may not be hot, but
Mm-hmm.
if your stuff's in your car and the sun's beating down on your car, right? You can
Yep.
that stuff can get brittle, can get wore out.
Yep.
It can degrade faster,
Mm-hmm.
and it's as something as simple as an e-tool,
Yep.
right? Your e-tool, if the quality of it is subpar,
Mm-hmm.
then it's going to wear down. So whenever you go to use it to dig out of that snowbank, you're going to break it,
Right.
right? So go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Oh, well, and that was another thing as far as perishable items. One thing I think everybody needs is, like me personally, I like to keep a case of water. I don't touch it unless I'm, somewhere. Say we're on the range, doing some training, doing this. I'll get into it. But that's one of those things that also uh, does expire. A lot of people don't think about that. Bottled water. Bottled water can become contaminated, especially when exposed to sunlight for an extended period of time. Um, those microplastics within the bottle begin to degrade into the water and it become poisonous. So not only is storage location important, but how much water and how much food you keep in your bag. Now, typically, I always go everywhere with I think it's a 1 liter. Yeah, it's like a 1 liter water container that I'll fill up. But I've always got the bottled water in the back. But because it's perishable, once you get to a certain point, you need to go ahead and either swap it in and out with another case. Same thing with your food, or you need to you can catch yourself like it's stuck in the middle of traffic or something like that. Go ahead and just start eating it. Just be sure you replace it, because those are the items. Like I was talking about, like we got friends in Canada. If you're stuck in a snowbank for 72 hours, are you going to die from hunger? No, but you can get very, very close to it if you don't have hydration. Hydration and caloric intake and being able to keep your body warm. Those are massive, massive things. Now, is that going to be a bigger deal for me in my geographical location? Absolutely not. Hydration, 100% will be my go-to. It gets hot. It gets super hot down here. It gets humid. You can lose uh, 80% of the sodium in your body just from sweating consistently. What's going to happen when that happens is your blood sugar is going to drop. Do you have something to pick your blood sugar back up? Um, Even to top that off, do you have a pre-existing condition like diabetes that you have to maintain? Because guess what? That's fixing it a lot scarier for you. So being able to prepping isn't just this whole idea of well, I've got a food bank worth of shit down in a cellar and I've got ammunition for days. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about, like, survival becomes a daily routine, right? It's a day by day process. Um, are you replenishing your caloric or your calories that you're spending to try to keep warm? Are you replenishing the hydration that you're losing because you're sweating your ass off? You know what I mean? Those are the things people don't think about.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? But there you go. This
Yep.
is med packs.
Yep.
And you have them in all sizes, and you can actually get them larger than that.
Yep.
And they get very, very specific.
Mm-hmm.
You can pick and choose the things in those, can't you?
Right.
They would have to get a hold of you for that, though.
Yeah. No, if there's a specific pack that they're wanting or specific materials that we don't have listed, you can email us, and you can email us or hit us up on social media or anything. And because of our partnership with NAR, we can reach out to them and have a specific um, item, kind of like an itemized purchase, right? So like, okay, well, our customer wants this bag, and they want these gloves, they want these gauze, they want these tourniquets, and they want an airway, and that's it. They will custom build that bag for us, give us a price on it, and then we can get it shipped to you.
Yeah. Yeah, the customization that you have on your website. It's not just the website, right?
Yep.
It's there. You guys take care of a lot more than just what you offer. And what I was going to say earlier, whenever we were looking at the little blog that you have, and all of the apparel and stuff, your wife is doing a fantastic job. Making sure that she's doing better than you guys did. That's for dang sure.
Yes, 100%. Smartest decision
Right?
of my life was marrying that woman. Second smartest decision was putting her in charge of the website, because we had that thing.
She's definitely done just like my wife. Got you guys in check.
No, and I do want to point out, for a disclaimer, all of our merch we go through a third party. So it's our designs and everything. We built everything. We just third party it all. So any of our merch, whether it be hats, cups, shirts, hoodies, stuff like that all comes from that third party. So we're kind of at the expense of them. We recently had kind of a big so when my wife updated the website to be the badass version that it is right now, there was a lot of automations that didn't transfer over. So we had a handful of orders that got lost, meaning the automation didn't push it through. So typically when you order something, like say if you're going to purchase this shirt right here, this is our Colonial Jack, amazing quality, awesome, comfortable shirts, hoodies, and everything. But when you put the order in, it automatically goes to our store, and then our store automates the order to our third party. And when we updated the website, that automation was automatically kind of shut off. It didn't update. And so there was about 5 orders that we had customers who were going, dude, I ordered my shirt like a month and a half ago. So the fuck you mean a month and a half ago? So I called losing my shit at our third party, and they're like, no, it's your fucking fault. And I was like, oops.
Oh, wait. So you actually have fantastic customer service as well?
Yes.
Right?
100%.
So what you're saying is R&D and customer service are your most important, that you care about the most.
Absolutely. And that was kind of the void that we wanted to fill. Like, as with any business, you want to, if you're going into a market or an industry, the main goal is to find a void and do your best to fill that void. That's where you're going to see the most return on investment. And for us, it was the ability for customization and our steadfast ability to listen to our customers. We maintain contact with our customers in every step of the process. Like if you order a battle belt, and I'm just like one of our Sierra 3 battle belts, if you order one of those from us and you have a custom length, say you're a bigger guy, like we just recently made one that was like, I believe, a 60-inch, which is, on the larger side. We offer those custom builds. Say you wanted this belt in 60 inches, and you're not seeing it in there. Obviously, our sizes go to extra large. Well, you click the 2X, and then you order it, or you go to the order page, and we have a comment section where you can put in the custom measurements. If you have not put in custom measurements, what we end up doing is we reach out to you, whether by email or by phone, whichever you've selected to be contacted by. We actually reach out to you the day after your order just to confirm, hey, this is the belt you want, this is the size you want, this is the thread you want, and this is the pattern you want. Done. We'll get you taken care of. And we actually update our customers with progress photos as we make them.
And if they really want to, they could follow you on Clapper.
Yep.
Right? They come over to Clapper, and if they're in there, you'll actually make theirs in front of them.
Yep.
It's one of the coolest things I've seen. Right? You can actually order it, get on Clapper and watch your stuff being made with
Right.
his little meat sausages.
Yep.
Right? It's pretty neat.
Hey, these
and
meat sausages got us banned off TikTok.
that's what I was gonna say. He got banned off TikTok for sexual activity, sewing with his meat sausages.
Yep. These bad boys.
Aren't they sexy? So, I tell you what, man, it's been a real blast having you on.
Oh, yeah.
Getting to shoot the shit, talk about some of the stuff we fucking absolutely enjoy talking about. And if you guys don't follow, you guys don't subscribe, please do follow Warhorse Ordnance over on Clapper. I'm Life Liberty on Clapper, and I don't know if you want them to know what your handle is. You'll find us. Come check us out. If you like us here, subscribe. That way we can stick around and keep doing what we like doing. Thank you, guys.